How I help an ADHD student. Hello and welcome to day 6 of my 30-day video challenge where I post a video every day to stop overthinking and bring my camera self as close as possible to my real self. So I don't normally take ADHD and special needs students because I'm not a trained professional. But this case was a little different. When his mom asked me to help, she did mention that he had ADHD. In fact, this is pretty common because many parents and grandparents in Vietnam don't want to label their kids as different. He later told me himself during one of our lessons. So he was 17, went to an international high school, spoke fluent English. In fact, his English was even more fluent than his Vietnamese. His family wanted him to get a 6.5 in IELTS to go study abroad the following year, and they wanted me to help him prepare. At first glance, he just looked like any other kid his age. But underneath, just like many students with ADHD, he struggled socially. He couldn't read social cues, often got overwhelmed in conversations, and tried to avoid social interaction and social situations whenever he could. One time I gave him a brand new notebook. He sat down and started writing, but a few minutes later, all four corners of the notebook got bent and crushed. Another time I gave him a piece of writing paper. After a while, he clenched it in his fist. He was constantly switching browser tabs, always restless, always having multiple windows open on his laptop. I even think that the laptop was easier for him to deal with than the real world. Less complex, less exhausting, and more predictable. I knew that some teachers had already given up on him because honestly, for a teacher, there was nothing more discouraging than seeing a student barely make any progress. And it was hard for me too. Some days were easier and better than others, but overall, the results were slow. One time we were sitting at a coffee shop, which was our usual classroom setting. I looked him in the eyes, smiled, and tried to be encouraging as I normally would. But to my surprise, he looked uncomfortable. And his reaction really caught me off guard. He asked, "Can I look away for a moment?" Since we were in a public space, he didn't really have anywhere to hide. But it was obvious that he wanted to escape, not physically, because he couldn't, but from the eye contact. And that really hit me hard. Because we're often taught that eye contact builds trust, shows confidence, and proves that we're engaged. But what if everything that we know about communication is wrong? What happened next will be shared tomorrow on day 7. For now, thanks for staying for day 6.